So last month I did a tier list for emotional moments in One Piece that was pre-made. Someone else in the world made it and I just stole it and used it. And one of the most common comments on that video was, she did emotional tier list before funny tier list, before gag tier list. You got to do that one. And so I was going to, but I can't find one. I found one that was ongoing gags, but it didn't have singular gags, which I think are important. So I had to make my own, and I didn't agree to do this so that I could do work. So I made it up with my patrons. I asked them, what are some gags you want to see in this? And they gave me suggestions. I added some things as well. I made a list of 30, which looked a lot more impressive until I actually put it in the tier list, and now it looks very barren. So all the ones that I missed that you wanted to see in this tier list, feel free to comment them below and we can all just laugh together about our favorite gags. But I tried to do a few ongoing character trait. This is a signature thing for characters. I tried to get some great ones, some bad ones, so that we could laugh and rant together. And I tried to get some one-offs that are particularly amazing to me. So the tier list I have, S tier is the perfect gag, then we have excellence, solid chuckle, it exists, and no one likes you, go home. And the tier list generator or maker, the tier maker randomizes these, so I didn't pick their order. And the first one is when Luffy eggs on Law and Kid to act fools. Like, they're in the middle of a battle, everybody's life is in danger, and Luffy's like, who can hold out the longest? Who can stand here the longest without flinching from that fireball? And they're all like, no, dude! Why are you a child? But at the end of the day, they're all children and they all do it and they end up making the goofy faces, and Oda has such good goofy faces and I love this gag. This is excellence to me. It might be the perfect gag. I know it's kind of egregious, or at least it feels egregious to me, to begin the tier list with calling something as abstract as this the perfect gag, but I actually kind of think that this gag is perfect. Like, I really love this gag. Is that ridiculous? Am I being ridiculous? We'll come back to it. Maybe I'll change my mind. Next up, we have the ongoing gag of Usopp having fake diseases to get out of things because he's a coward, and I personally really enjoy this gag. It gets a solid chuckle out of me every time. It's one of those reoccurring things that's kind of understated, that doesn't get a big laugh, but it's like, I'm glad it's there and I want to keep seeing it. This is the fake Straw Hat crew. So this is whenever we've had a time skip, we've had a break from the Straw Hats, we want to see them again, we want to see their new evolved forms, and Oda's like, here you go, here's the Straw Hats. This is them. This is what they've been up to, and it's just a bunch of people impersonating them, but I love it because it's funny that Oda did that, but I love it even more because of the community. I love a good meme, and I love that this particular fandom, the One Piece fandom, will lean into gags so hard. I should have put Boa is so beautiful in this, because that's another one that the community just grabs a hold of and is like, we're a part of this gag. It made it so much better that the community was like, that's the Straw Hats, that's them, they're real, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, we embody the essence of Luffy not being able to see through a disguise, and it makes me so happy when this sort of thing happens. Same with Boa, like, I'm so beautiful that I look up because I'm looking down so far, or whatever it is. That gag itself isn't that funny, but because the community says we forgive Boa for everything because she's so beautiful, because we agree with the gag and perpetuate it, that makes the gag better for me. So, excellence. Next up we have Robin. Basically Robin just agreeing with Luffy's childish thoughts, because Robin, actually, let's where's the other Robin thing? Here it is. These are Robin's dark thoughts. So Robin randomly saying stuff that's so out of pocket and so inappropriate, so tonally wrong for what's happening, for the fears that they have, for the situation that they're in, and she's just so off base. I think that too is excellence to me. I never get tired of this gag, never stop doing it, Oda. But just the same, the fact that this very dark thought, dark-natured woman who's very stoic and says these very off-kilter, off-putting things also has a lot of very charming, cheerful, childlike thoughts, and oftentimes will share a thought bubble with Luffy because of his childlike nature and her adorable sweet nature and how when they collide, also excellence. Robin is excellence, let's be honest. Next we have Usopp, who is battling with Perona, and Perona's depression ghosts don't work for him because he's always negative. And then Perona's reaction. I am a little bit biased to this because, you know, I love Perona, and seeing her make one of the goofy faces that Oda is so good at drawing, it's excellence as well. Okay, next we have dinosaur physics. So I love dinosaurs, and I was so excited when I realized that Wano is the arc for dinos. Could not be happier. But then when I learned that Oda knows more about dinos than I do, and knows more about how they functioned in the wild, and I learned so much. I learned so much about the physics of dinos, about how the Bronchiosaurus can detach his head and tail and shoot it like a missile, or the Triceratops can turn into a helicopter. I mean, like, it's genius. It's brilliant. This is the perfect gag. The perfect gag. I can't tell you how happy I was when I got to learn more about dinos from the king himself. Like, that's just beautiful, and I couldn't be happier. Brook's skull jokes are an ongoing gag that I love and I don't get tired of, and could you just? Thank you. And it's beautiful, and I'm gonna skip Chopper for a second to follow that up with another Brook gag, which is his show me your panties gag. That one just can go straight to the bottom. No one's gonna be surprised about that. I love Brook, and he's one of my favorite Straw Hats. He's in the upper tier. If I were to rank them, which I've done several times in different places. I don't think they've ever gotten a dedicated video ranking, but it doesn't matter. If I were to rank the Straw Hats, he would be in the upper half. I don't know where, but he would be in the upper half. And I love that Oda began Brook's characterization of his, I've been alone for 50 years, I have no culture, no manners, no ability to understand social situations anymore. That's all been stripped of me in my isolation. And he depicted that in a depressing yet funny way with his lack of table manners, with him burping and farting constantly, banging his silverware on the table, shouting that he wants food like an ogre, making terribly inappropriate jokes at terribly inappropriate times, doing the skull jokes constantly, way too much. It's too much to be funny, Brook. And yes, asking people, can I see your panties the first time, asking women, can I see your panties the first time he sees them, as well as someone, I don't remember who, the first time he met them, he asked them for a loan. That's so inappropriate. So when it was coupled with all these other things, I actually think that it's a great gag. Like, it couples everything else perfectly, where it shows that he has no filter, he has no boundaries, he has no concept for what's appropriate. And I think that it bundled with all those other things wonderfully. But I think it's lazy that all of that complexity of his character has now just been whittled down to this one catchphrase that is the worst of them all. It's the worst of all of the things that depicted the damage that his isolation has done to him. So not only is it a joke that it gets old crazy fast and that's in poor taste if it's left on its own, works when it's bundled with everything else, but when it's left on its own, it's just like, oh my gosh, shut up. Not only that, but I also just think it's really lazy characterization that all that other stuff has been stripped, and this is just kind of like the tagline, hey, just so you know, we're still doing this gag. Like, shucks. Just all around. Don't like it. Chopper doesn't know how to hide. It exists. I tried to do a signature gag that comes up a lot for each character. Some characters got multiple. Chopper not knowing how to hide, as well as being easily wooed by any sort of compliment. Both of these are just fine for me. I don't really care about either of these gags. Oh good, another terrible one. Momo and the perviness around his character. Hate, despise. Why, Oda? Why? This isn't funny. It's obnoxious, and you used it way too much in Punk Hazard and beyond. Way too much. This is not as funny as you think it is. Zoro Okay, it's really just this entire scene that works so well. It's Zoro, it's him getting captured by the wax, being unable to move, and his first reaction, his gut instinct, he doesn't even try to think beyond his first thought, which is, I should chop off my legs, eh? And so he just starts hacking at his own body. And the girls are like, no, 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 no. We can think of something else. And he's like, they're already half off. Like, I'll figure. I think they asked him, what are you gonna do when your legs are chopped off and you're free, but you're bleeding out? And he's like, I'll figure it out when that time comes. Like, that impulsive, stupid, I'm going with the first thought, with the first gut instinct, and that's to permanently maim myself. Like, what am I doing, man? Like, what are you doing, man? Oh my gosh. And then, oh right, I forgot about the gag. I was so focused on everything else, I forgot that we're going somewhere with this. And then, on top of that, when the wax keeps falling, and they're for sure donezo, he's like, he's like, if I'm gonna be made into a statue, I might as well look cool. That's just really good humor. That's just really stupid. And I just, oh my gosh. Everything around this is really, really, really stupid. And it makes me so happy. Like, it's so dumb. It's just a series of really, really just strong stupidity, and it's beautiful. Okay, Robin again, because she's amazing. Frankie and his, oh, I don't have a dedicated thing for Frankie. A dedicated reoccurring, I guess I don't find, it's funny. I really appreciate Frankie as a character, but I guess I don't find a lot of his reoccurring gags funny. Like when we first met him and he was doing all this super thing, like that didn't hit me at all. The cola stuff wasn't funny to me. I do love his hair transformations, but that's not really, I mean, that is a gag, but way more so, I just think it's awesome. Like, I just love his hair changes, especially Dressrosa and Zoe. Those are the best. And obviously, the fact that every transformation he has, all the boys on the crew are like, oh, amazing, it's so cool, I love it so much. Like, I love that, but it's more other people's reaction that makes me happy in that regard. I think one thing that I wish was a continued gag with Frankie is, remember in Thriller Bark when he just randomly was like, I'm gonna build a bridge. And he just took supplies from all over and just started building a bridge out of like, no support. It didn't make any structural sense whatsoever. Or he would randomly build something so that they could cross. And maybe this is the same bridge gag. Maybe it only happened once and I can't remember it super well. And then he's like lamenting that the bridge isn't beautiful enough or isn't like good enough. And everybody's like, no, Frankie, you did your job. He's like, no, but it could have been better. Like, I wish that was an ongoing gag, because the idea of Frankie just out of nowhere creating the most nonsensical structure that's super useful, and then he's just like, it's not good enough. Like, I would love that to be a reoccurring thing, but it was just a one-time gag. Anyway, sorry. So this is when they want to do the transformer thing, when they want to, is it dock up? Is it a docking station? It's when they want to do the transformer thing, and Robin's just like, I find it embarrassing as a person. Like, oh my goodness, that's so cold and cruel, and I love it. I feel like I was just really hard on Frankie. I really like Frankie as a character. He's not my favorite Straw Hat, but I do really appreciate him in the role he plays. I don't know. Sorry to those that I've harmed in this message. Anyway, solid chuckle. Solid chuckle at the top. Excuse me. Move. Thanks. Okay, Buggy. So, remember in Impel Down? Oh no, I forgot another one. I'm doing a very bad job. Okay, we'll just talk about them together. Remember in Impel Down when Buggy is like, hey, remember my buggy balls? Remember how awesome I am? And Luffy's like, no, sorry, I don't. And Buggy he just has this just sad face that just is like, it's so sweet and tragic and beautiful, and it's Buggy and I love him. But then also one of my favorite, probably my #2 favorite gag in the entire manga is Buggy, which I forgot to put on the tier list because I'm just like bad at this. is when when they're escaping Impel Down and Buggy jumps on the door with everybody else, the one that Jinbei is propelling. It's on the screen. And he looks so cool. Oh my gosh, he looks amazing. And then they go through and they make their grand entrance, and Crocodile lands awesome, and Jinbei lands awesome, and whoever else is with them, it lands awesome. And then Buggy just like falls on his face. It's so It's like one of my favorite gags in the whole series. It's just everybody looks so awesome, and he just plops down looking like a fool, and yet he's still the hero in so many people's eyes, and I just think that that's really funny. Oh, so we'll just pretend that this image for Buggy encompasses all of Buggy in Impel Down, and not just this one sad boy moment. So it's just gonna go right there. I love Buggy and Impel Down. Buggy and Impel Down is my favorite character. Oh my gosh. It's not true. Corazon's still my favorite, but the ongoing gag for Luffy of not remembering anybody's names and giving them really bad nicknames, I think is excellent. I love this gag, and I never get tired of it, and I never get tired of the names that he comes up with, and honestly, his nicknames are always easier to remember than the actual names, so it's also kind of helpful. Princess Shirahoshi, Princess Crybaby. See what I'm saying? Princess Shirahoshi is not an easy thing to remember or pronounce, but Princess Crybaby, that's a really easy nickname. Thank you, Luffy. Princess Crybaby, hitting so many people with just like a very simple, "You're not my type." I don't know why, but that always gets a chuckle out of me. Like, it's so simple, and it totally doesn't deserve to be on this tier list over certain things that I've forgotten, but I do like it. I do like it. Zoro and Sanji's ongoing gag, or rather ongoing rivalry. They never get along. They're always bickering. I think this is one thing that the anime really elevates. And that's that very abrupt anger, that very abrupt, harsh anger that they have with each other, where they're all chilling, good vibes, everyone's happy, and one of them says something just off the cuff, and then the other one just snaps, just like loses their ever-loving mind. It's wonderful in the manga, but in the anime, the abruptness and loudness of it really just makes it that much better. But to me, like, this is gonna sound so bad, please don't clip this, but to me, unprovoked violence is in the right context is really funny. Like when like two kids are chilling on a bench table together, like eating their food, and then one just turns and shoves the other off for literally no reason, unprovoked. Like, there's no reason for you to have done that, but that's so funny to me. We should cut this. Corey, cut this part. Anyway, that's what these two characters are. They're just a lot of unprovoked violence where it's just like, everybody's fine. Nobody's mad here. And then one of them just speaks, and the other one's like, how dare you? How dare you exist in my presence? And I just think that's really funny. And they obviously genuinely care about each other deeply. They just also get under each other's skin on such a visceral level that I think is beautiful. So this is definite excellence for me. You know what? It's the perfect gag. It is. Usopp, or Kaku getting called Usopp throughout the entirety of Water 7 in his lobby, even to the point that, like, Usopp is standing right there, and Kaku's right there, and Luffy's like, Usopp? Like, Usopp is right there! How do you not know? It's, solid chuckle every time. Sanji getting the wrong bounty poster. And everybody's reaction to that, like Brook and I don't remember who all, but like loads of people just busting a gut laughing about it. They think it's so funny how insulting it is and how the crew handles it. And then the fact that the gag is legit, like this is an actual person on top of that, and it's plot relevant is excellence to me. Buggy constantly failing up every time it comes up. Whether it be Impel Down, Marineford, Wano, Egghead, it doesn't matter where, when, or why, Buggy falling up, Buggy doing the bare minimum, or in fact, trying not even to do that. And still people are like, Buggy is our king. That is the perfect gag. That is the perfect gag. It will never get old. It's perfect. It's perfect. I put the Enel face here, but that's not specific to Enel. It's just faces in general. Oda's shocked faces. It could be Enel. It could be the people seeing the wanted poster in Wano. It could be literally anything. That face, that what face? I mean, this is obviously different from the Wano faces, but you know what I mean. Those shocked faces, I think, are great. I love them. Oh, good. We have another one that I hate. So Sanji's nosebleed gag. You're surprised, aren't you? I don't like it. I think that it's stupid. I think that it isn't funny. And I think that Oda, he took an unfunny gag and he completely ran it into the ground in Fish Head Island. He overused it to the point that it became insufferable. It went from being, okay, that's stupid. This is annoying. Moving on, which would be probably in the it exists category for me up until Fishman Island, and then it just went into just write it out of the manga at this point. Like, you've ruined this already mediocre joke by thinking it's funnier than it actually is. Wow, there's really a pattern here. For the bottom tier gags, eh? Queen's Zuma 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 dance. Really just everything about Queen is top tier for me, except for like the plague gun. That's not so great. But the dino physics, even the fact that it was like this ridiculous headbutt that caused Big Mom's amnesia, which is just F tier. I hate the amnesia thing. But anyway. Good vibes. The headbutt is what caused it. I can't become more skinny or else I'll get too sexy and the world won't be able to handle me. And then he ends up becoming drained and depleted, and I love that. But it's the dance. It's the performance that just elevates his character even higher than he already was just from entrance. He's amazing. But the Zuma 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 was top tier perfection. It was like a 2-time gag, but it's so memorable when Luffy asks Traffy, maybe it was just the one time, when he asked Law, when he's like, he's a part of our crew now, and Law's like, no, I'm not. And the crew says, no, he's not. We don't know him. He's the enemy. Last time we saw him, he said, you guys are enemies. You'll never be friends. And Luffy's like, he's a part of our crew now. And then the crew's like, but he's gonna betray us. So Luffy turns to him and he says, are you gonna betray me? And Law goes, no. And then Luffy just smiles real big. Oh my goodness, I love it so much. This is the perfect gag. This is actually, it's perfection. It only happened maybe twice, maybe 3 times, and it was in this very short span of time, but I wish it happened more, and it makes me happy. Pretty much anything between Luffy and Law makes me happy because I love how much Luffy accepts him wholeheartedly and how much Law is like, you don't tell me what to do. You don't give me orders. I'm not your friend, but like, they're besties. Boa's love for Luffy and her swooning over him. I always get a chuckle out of this. I know this one's a little bit controversial because Boa is so strong and so killer, and then being reduced to like the simp gag like Sanji and Pudding are. I know a lot of people are like, come on, just give us an Emperor of the Sea, a female Emperor of the Sea. That's just awesome without being reduced to this. Like, I get it. But Oda likes the simp gags. Honestly, I like the simp gags too. I don't like the perv gags, but the simp gags, I do like them. And there's a lot of simp stuff with Sanji that I think is hilarious, as well as with Pudding, although Pudding to me is more of a depiction of the trauma that she's ensued being a child of Big Mom. But anyway, I like it. It always gets a chuckle out of me. Oh, good, more hate! Freaking Caribou! Why are you still in the story? Why are you here? Why are you still stowed away? Why are you... Okay. Anyway. I don't like Caribou. I don't like that he's still in the story, and I don't think it's funny that he is a stowaway. Not in the slightest. Granted, this scene that this particular image is depicting was funny. But I still hate him, and I hate everything about him, and I hate every panel that he's on, and he just needs to be erased from the manga. Forget about him, Oda. You don't even have to write an exit chapter. Just stop writing him. Pretend he's not where he is in the story so far. I'm trying to be spoiler-free for the anime-only people. Just forget about just forget about him. pretend he was never here. Everyone will forgive you. Everyone will forgive you for that plot hole. Zoro, reoccurring theme is him just never knowing where he is, getting lost constantly, directionally challenged. This is an excellent gag, never gets old. In fact, I wish he would do it more. Why has he not gotten lost recently? Can we please do it again? So this is depicting the gag where Chopper gets tied to Law and how terribly uncomfortable he is with the situation he's in. But to me, this represents everything involving Law and the Straw Hats and any kind of gimmick he has to get up to in order to work with them, and how deeply he hates the dynamics of this crew that he's allied himself with. It makes me so happy. I've already talked about this, but really all Luffy Law dynamics are beautiful to me, but all Law Straw Hat dynamics also beautiful. I love the chaos of our crew and how perfectly meshed together their chaos is, like how they each bring their own kind of chaos, and how horribly, I mean, how perfectly it all works together, but then how horribly Law fits into that chaos and how repulsed by it he is. And that's its own gag. And that makes me so happy, and this is excellence. Luffy not being able to lie, this always gets a solid chuckle out of me, but I'm just gonna chuck it in excellence too because it's beautiful. I love it. I don't get tired of it. And finally, my number one favorite gag, your number one favorite gags, your number one favorite gag, everyone's number one favorite gag is Luffy shoving the zombie back into the ground. It happened one time, and yet the entire fandom probably knew that this had to be on the list because it was so perfect. Again, the anime, I mean, the manga, it was perfect in the manga, but when I saw it in the anime, I was like, man, this is just really good. Like, that awkward pause and silence, the slow walk up to him, and then him just, like, Luffy, what were you thinking? Like, actually, what were you thinking? Like, this little man pops out of the ground. The zombie pops out of the ground, shouts at them, tries to scare them, and Luffy just not responding, not flinching, and then walking over. What was going through your head in that moment? What were you thinking? And then the fact that then when he pops back up and he's angry and you're like, an old man with severe injuries? It's like, if you thought that, then why were you shoving him back into the ground? Why were you not saying, hey, Chopper, can you come help? Like, what was your thought? Did you think he was half dead and so you just wanted to put him back in the grave so he could finish dying? What were you thinking? What was going through your head? The answer is nothing, probably. You were just like, this seems wrong. Man, I love it. Okay. This is a great list. I've done a great job here. I've done a great thing. Wow. Okay. What have we learned today? One Piece is hilarious. This is only 30 gags, and we could go on for so much longer. So do please add in the comments any gag that I missed that I didn't talk about in this video that deserves love as well. Let's just all laugh together in the comments, just remembering how hilarious this series is. I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays on my review channel, where I talk about what I'm reading week to week, to include Dragon Ball, which I'm currently reading. Oh, hey, we already had the live stream for that by the time you see this video. I hope you liked it. Hope I liked it. Chat with me more in the comments. I'll see you again soon. Bye.